Welcome back to Sanjam Talks. So today we are going on to the topic of US immigration 2025 recap and 2026 outlook. What immigrants must prepare for. Janeta garu, welcome to the show. The state of US immigration and the end of 2025. Looking back at the 2025 as a whole, how would you describe the state of US immigration today?
See, immigration itself is, a little bit complicated because
అమెరికాలో నిజంగా టాలెంట్ మ్యాచ్ అవుతుందా? బికాస్ వెన్ వి సే అబ్రాడ్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ యుఎస్ ద పీపుల్ ఆర్ టాలెంటెడ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్డ్ అండ్ మైట్ బి దే ఆర్ లిటిల్ చీపర్ దెన్ ద పీపుల్.
I don't think so. Companies are ready for that. When you say whether USC is ready, I don't see companies are ready. Even bigger companies, like, for example, you name it.
I'm not sure it's a myth or it's a reality. Most people are assuming that with these new immigration rules and policies, Indians are the people who are getting more affected. So what is your take on it?
It's not only Indians. The H1b program is for the whole world, not the Indians. But of course,
ఇండియన్స్ ఎక్కువ అబ్యూస్ చేస్తున్నారు అనేది టాక్ ఉంది. సో వాట్ డు యు సే?
I won't say Indians, but yes, of course, I think statistical wise ga kuda
జెన్జీ స్పెషల్గా బిజినెస్ మీద బికమింగ్ అన్ ఎంటర్‌ప్రెన్యూర్ ఆర్ స్టార్ట్అప్ ఫౌండర్స్ ఇవి చేస్తూ ఉన్నారు. మన ఇండియన్ కమ్యూనిటీ నుంచి వచ్చే వాళ్ళు కూడా చేస్తున్నారు. ఆర్ దే లీగలీ అలౌడ్ టు డూ ద బిజినెస్ ఇన్ యుఎస్?
Yes, of course, you can establish, but again, it's a
Which visa categories are likely to see more scrutiny in 2026?
I would say, the
Welcome back to Sanjam Talks. So today we are going on to the topic of US immigration 2025 recap and 2026 outlook. What immigrants must prepare for. So before we begin today's podcast, I have a quick request. If you are an immigrant, student, or professional navigating the US immigration system, this channel is for you. We bring trusted experts, real updates, and practical guidance so you don't have to rely on rumors or misinformation. So please take 1 second right now to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and share this episode with someone who might need it. Your support helps us continue bringing you accurate, expert-driven immigration conversations. Now let's get started. As 2025 comes to an end, millions of immigrants are asking the same questions. Why USCIS is still unpredictable? Why are H1b Visa stampings being delayed or cancelled? And what new immigration rules are coming in 2026 that could change everything? Today's episode is not speculation, it's expert insight. Joining us is attorney Janeta Reddy, a New York licensed immigration attorney, AILA member, and someone who understands the US immigration not just legally but personally as an immigrant herself. Janeta garu, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Andy.
So let's get started with the show, Janeta garu. You being an immigrant, you came to this country as an immigrant and you turned into an attorney. So can you please give us a brief introduction about you?
I was born in Nalgonda district,
Mhm.
and then born and raised in the district till 10th grade. And after that, my dad always wanted me to be a doctor, so I took BPC. That I did that for 2 years, and then again, because my passion was always serving the community, into the legal field, because I have from my dad's side and my mom's side, a lot of lawyers in the family. So, I did BA, political science, public administration and economics
Uh-huh.
from Andhra Mahila Sabha University. And after that, I did my LLB in the Usmania University campus. So,
You're
and
also.
after that,
Mm.
yeah, my journey started there. We had wonderful professors. And then after that, I married my husband, who is also my classmate in law school in Usmania University. And
One.
then I came here to the United States on H4. And then I changed my status to F1. I
Okay.
went to the law school, which is IU, Indiana University in Indianapolis. And I did my master's, LLM in America. And
Mm-hmm.
then I did the New York license, New York bar. And then
Mm-hmm.
I started practicing, New York laws. And after that, I figured out as an immigrant, I had that passion towards the immigration always because I went through the whole process of, coming into the country and experiencing it firsthand.
Right.
So I started focusing more on the immigration. Then,
Mm-hmm.
because immigration is a federal law, so I can practice it from any state. Then
Mm-hmm.
I moved from New York to Virginia, and it's my 17 plus years practicing immigration law.
17 plus years of experience in US immigration. That's
Yes.
really great. That's really great. So probably, the before generation, they might know your story. The current generation, should listen to this podcast so that they can get to know how an immigrant can settle in America, with all the efforts what you have gone through. Good. It's an inspiring story. So coming to the current situations, Janita Garu, the state of US immigration and the end of 2025. Looking back at the 2025 as a whole, how would you describe the state of US immigration today?
It's see, immigration itself is, a little bit complicated because whenever the administration changes, they usually target the immigration.
Right.
You have been witnessing it, past, I would say, 10 years, 20 years.
Right.
Unlike other laws where, for example, corporate law, contracts, employment, several laws, they do have a pretty standard, you just update yourself, but, those don't really change
Mm-hmm.
going into the core because it's all out there from so many years. But
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about immigration, drastic changes, happens because there are two things here. Some of the legislate some of the things, for example, H1B, the whole program is created by the Congress. But of
Right.
course, every time a new president comes in, they do have some kind of, executive authority
Mm.
to, change to certain extent. When I say change, they kind of, do executive orders, they want to, change that little interpretation, add something, those kind of things. Unlike other laws, immigration law ఏంటి every time administration change అయినప్పుడల్లా, you can see a lot of executive orders, as per the administration, whether it is Republicans or Democrats, as per their administration views on the immigration, they do issue, executive orders and stuff like that. But
So,
especially, when we are seeing the current administration, you also saw the Trump administration in their first term, kind of wanted to change a lot
right.
to the whole landscape.
Yeah.
But, president do have, authority, but not, an extensive one. So
Mhm.
because the whole pieces of immigration legislation is created by the Congress, so ultimate authority does remain
Mhm.
with the Congress. But yes, definitely, president do have, certain kind of authority, like, if he thinks that it's in the best interest of the nation, that he needs to do certain things.
Right. Right. So coming to the 2025 again, what surprised you the most in immigration this year?
See, everybody is prepared in 2025. That's what I would say. Um, yes, there are surprises, but definitely when, this administration, you saw Trump 1.0, and then, in now in his second term. Pretty
Right.
much, I think, immigration attorneys like me are, very well prepared to, go ahead and then, face those, and then educating your clients, whether they are individual clients or employers, just, putting out the word, let's say, through your channels and stuff like that, at least.
Right.
Um, Especially, by the year end, there are things which in his first term that he couldn't do. For example, wage based selections of the H1B. So, giving the weightage to the H1B cap selection based on the wages.
Right.
The higher the wages, the more chances you have.
Mm-hmm.
And also the 100K rule that was, bought in,
Right.
um, through the executive order, like, it's a big burden on the companies. So,
Right.
definitely, to my experience, I don't think any employer is ready or willing to pay 100K to bring an employee from outside the United States, because you have a heavily talented pool within the country, with the students coming from all over the world, doing their masters or, PhD programs. So there is definitely a talent pool
Mm-hmm.
in here. But however, when you look into, of course, when you are bringing talent from outside, the skill, because H1B is a skilled based program, um, those who are coming from outside especially, వాళ్ళకి ఎక్కువగా ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఉంటుంది if they want to bring them,
Yes.
beside the bachelor's degree, those kind of experiences, working in different companies, they can definitely bring that skill. But however, though ikkada masters chesina vallu, entry level, or they do also gain certain experience through OPTs idanta.
Right. So
But yes.
right now with this kind of situation, అమెరికాలో నిజంగా టాలెంట్ మ్యాచ్ అవుతుందా? బికాస్ abroad lo, I mean, like, when we say abroad, out of US, the people are talented, experienced, and might be, they are little cheaper than the people who US. I might not, I mean, it's not a right word to use the cheap, but when we compare the wage levels, yes, the talented people will be very less in US, and the other people from the other countries are coming from little less amount. So if this 100K is already, it's in the process now and implemented, so how the talent pool is available in the market, and is it yours ready for that?
I don't think so. Companies are ready for that. When you say whether USC is ready, I don't see companies are ready. Even bigger companies, like, for example, you name it, Microsoft or
Mhm.
Google or, Apple. I don't think they are willing to pay 100K to bring anybody from outside unless and until their contributions are towards the, economy in that manner. So,
Right.
there is other problem with this program also. Instead of people coming in by paying 100K, you could lose jobs, projects leaving the United States, going to different countries, trying to recruit there locally.
Mhm.
So, jobs going out of the United States as well. So,
Right.
that's how I see it.
So we have seen in the first version 1.0 that companies or some kind of I might not use, I mean, I should not use the word, but there are few entities who have challenged in the court the decisions of the first version of Trump. So is it the same flow right now on the decisions what Trump has taken, the President Trump has taken? Did anyone challenge in the court on this 100K?
Yeah. There is a lawsuit, filed by Chamber of Commerce along with, American, universities. But
Mhm.
however, they lost that case. This was filed in California. So
Okay.
lost the case. I think, there are several others. So we still have to see. But right now, government won on that Chamber of Commerce. The
Mhm.
judge technically said that, yes, he do have that kind of authority to make the decision on that 100K. But I'm sure, definitely there might be an appeal or, things, because we still have to wait. Any decision, which is kind of sabotaging the whole program, definitely they will, take it forward, challenge it in the court.
Mm.
And if you see, in December of 2025, just the past month.
Right.
As we know that the wage-based H-1B lottery pickup program, got
Got
finalized,
right.
which will be effective for the upcoming lottery,
Mhm.
I guess from February 27th of 2026.
Before we get into that, the current situation of H-1B stampings and delays in the current in the situation. So, what is your take on it? So, one of the biggest pain point in 2025 has been H-1B visa stamping delays and sudden appointment cancellations, especially at the U.S. consulates abroad. From what you're seeing, what are the real reasons behind these delays and cancellations?
So the real reason is they want the social media accounts to be open, and then they want to vet all the applicants who are applying or appearing at the
Uh-huh.
consulate for the H1Bs, H4s, and stuff like that. So they
Uh-huh.
can vet them thoroughly based on their social media presence, and then they had to make those accounts open.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, previously we saw in some of the categories that, they were doing that. Then, they just made a decision that they are bringing this to the H1B program. So,
Uh-huh.
usually when they roll out these kind of rules, they kind of, prepare the whole thing and then, roll it out. So that way it goes smooth and, people don't have to, face certain challenges. E
Okay.
situation low, when they rolled it out, I think, they were canceling all the H1B appointments that were there in December, January, and February to, like few months ahead. So when you technically see,
Uh-huh.
definitely it will be surprise for a lot of people, those who already have confirmed appointments and those who are already there outside the United States just to appear. It's a shock and surprise for them to see their appointments postponing, a few months later. Because
Cool.
if you just went on vacation and then, get trying to get H1B stamped, and then your employer won't allow you to work from outside the United States, then you are pretty much screwed up. You are done with your job because employer is not going to wait, for the resource that long to come back. Of course, sometimes employers do have that kind of flexibility, allowing the employees to work from abroad, but some that won't give that, flexibility. So yes, definitely, it's a painful situation that the applicants are going through, but I don't think so. There is any shortcut to it or any expedite process to it. So unfortunately, they end up waiting, for their appointment confirmations. Unfortunately.
So, is this a temporary backlog or something immigrants should expect in the long term?
I think for the H1B, I think it's a temporary one, I would say.
Mhm.
Maybe they might roll out the same thing to different categories, like, H4s, B2s, things like that. So we just have to wait and see whether, it's one time or, we will go through these hiccups several times. It's just a wait and see process with this administration all the time. But,
Right.
I think anyone before leaving the United States, definitely, let your employer know that you are going out, whether you have that kind of flexibility to work from outside, take the laptop and also concern, talk to your company immigration lawyer before leaving, just to see, any insights that they are providing. But of course, whatever came through, it's everybody thought that it will go smooth, like how the other categories went through. But again, getting the appointments cancellation is kind of a surprise to a lot of people.
Yeah. So, who is the most effective in these delays? Who are at the risk of delays or refusals right now? Only H1.
Especially H1Bs, because those are the appointments that are kind of, getting rescheduled for, 3, 4 months, 5 months, after.
Yeah. Yeah.
So definitely, you might definitely lose your employment by then if your employer is not allowing you to, work from your home country. And then without a actual stamping, you cannot even come back. Only
Right.
few will have the options, like let's say if the spouse is working inside the United States on H1B, maybe they
Mhm.
can just opt for the H4 and try to see coming in. But yes, H1B program is the one especially that
So,
got.
in this scenario, what should an H1B holder do before traveling internationally?
Traveling international Before traveling internationally, definitely they had to at least have a consultation call with the employer and with the company immigration attorney to
Uh-huh.
check with them whether this is the right time to leave the country. And then I think definitely nobody guarantees that it's the right time. I mean, in this situation, once they left and then, this program rolled out and then, they see huge delays in there. But definitely, granted, don't take things for granted. Okay,
Right.
I know I appeared at the consulate for my H1B several times. I'm inside the country for 10 years. I know everything. So, it's always, suggestible to, talk to your attorney, your company attorney, talk to your employer, and then, get all the insights. And then if they say no, definitely try to postpone. But, there are some emergencies, situations that they had to travel. So there's
Right.
no excuse for that. But
Yeah.
definitely, I know letting the employer know, letting your company immigration attorney know, having a brief conversation with them definitely will help you to make a right decision.
సో H1B కేస్ గురించి మాట్లాడదాము. ఇప్పుడు 2020 ఐ మీన్ లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ ఒక స్టాంపింగ్ మీద అక్కడ యూఎస్‌లో ఉండి దే వర్క్డ్ ఫర్ కపుల్ ఆఫ్ మంత్స్ దేర్ అండ్ దెన్ దే ట్రావెల్డ్ బ్యాక్ టు ఇండియా. సో ఇప్పుడు నౌ దే వర్ ఆన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఫ్రమ్ A employer, he was with an A employer, and now after coming back to India, he want to go with an employer B. హూ ఈజ్ రెడీ టు స్పాన్సర్ ఇట్. అంటే ఇప్పుడు మనకు స్టాంపింగ్ దగ్గర స్టక్ అయ్యిండు, లేదా సంథింగ్ ఏదో అయింది, ఎంప్లాయర్ రెడీ లేడు, ఇంకో ఎంప్లాయర్ వచ్చి రెడీ అయ్యిండు తీసుకోవడానికి. సో ఈ కేసులో ఈ డస్ హీ ఫాల్స్ అండర్ ద 100K రూల్ ఆర్ వితౌట్ 100K he can do a transfer?
It depends on how he does it. So let's say even before leaving the country, if he got this new opportunity and then that employer files the H1B transfer when the beneficiary is and particular candidate within the country lo ఉన్నప్పుడు file చేస్తే they are not subject to. But if this happens when the candidate, the beneficiary is outside the United States, yes, they are subject to.
సో అందులో కూడా రిస్క్ ఉంది H1Bకి.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
100K స్పాన్సర్ చేసి ఎంప్లాయర్ హ్యావ్ టు టేక్ హిమ్.
Yes.
Great. So big trouble for the H1B guys. It's not that easy to
I
take.
would say it will be temporary. So, going forward, maybe more lawsuits and things like that. But don't take anything easy with this administration. So, their target is especially, the employment immigration as well. Because a lot of people try to, do things like and a lot of fraud they found in these employment based categories.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that is the reason they are going forward and tightening the rules, especially to make sure that they are doing it in a right way. And then people, those who are benefiting out of this program, definitely they are high skilled, and then they are contributing to the economy. And
Right.
also the US always wants to entertain the best and the brightest brains in the United States.
Yeah. So at the right time, I want to ask a question. I'm not sure it's a myth or it's a reality. Most people are assuming that with these new immigration rules and policies, Indians are the people who are getting more affected. So what is your take on it?
I mean, it's not only Indians. See, H1B program is for the whole world, not the Indians. But of course, our stake in the H1B program is more because, a lot of employers, because the talent pool is coming, of course. India antene ippudu technology like India, China, technology based, and we have a lot of companies. And then if you talk about, in the United States, the big companies kuda అన్నిటికీ they have several branches in India as well, like
Right.
Microsoft, Google, I mean, you name it, a lot of them. And then India lo unna ఇప్పుడు lot of tech companies కూడా వాళ్ళకి they have branches within the United States as well. So
Right.
tech అంటేనే Indians, they work hard towards it. I mean, they do have degrees, the IT degrees, they work hard. Of course, they do contribute towards the economy. Even for example, people coming here like 20 years ago, once they have their green card, and then opening up new companies, and then providing those kind of opportunities, and then creating jobs, idantha kuda chesta unnaru. See, if you see Silicon Valley, jobs are being created, I mean, previous guy in the past and now continuation of it.
So,
So without the technology, I don't think that is a possible option. But
mhm,
again, at the same time, there is also some kind of fraud involved. So they are
right.
that this administration is targeting to get rid of that fraud.
So a fraud అనే term కి again not a myth. I mean, is it a myth or the reality? Indians ఎక్కువ అబ్యూస్ చేస్తున్నారు అనేది టాక్ ఉంది. So what do you say on that?
I mean, I won't say Indians, but yes, I mean, of course, I think statistical wise ga kuda avi prove ayindi. Like China examples, where people registered, ఒక పర్సన్ ని మల్టిపుల్ రిజిస్ట్రేషన్స్ చేసి అట్లా మిస్యూజ్
Right.
చేయడము. బట్ ఈవెన్చువల్ గా అది బ్యాక్ ఫైర్ అవుతుంది. ఇఫ్ యూ సీ మల్టిపుల్ రిజిస్ట్రేషన్స్ కి వాళ్ళకి ఆర్ఎఫ్ఈస్ వచ్చి లేటర్ ఆన్ నోటీస్ ఆఫ్ ఇంటెంట్ టు deny, notice of intent to revoke, where you had to respond, and then people ended up. So what I would say is, um anytime employer says that yes, we are going to file a H1B for you, just don't blindly believe. అంటే వాళ్ళ ఆపర్చునిటీ ఏంటి అని డూ యూర్ డ్యూ డెలిజెన్స్. వాట్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ ఆపర్చునిటీ దే ఆర్ ఆఫరింగ్ యూ, వేర్ యూ ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు వర్క్. సో ఈజ్ దేర్ ఎనీ రియల్ రిక్రూట్మెంట్ హ్యాపెనింగ్ ఇన్ దట్ ఏరియా? సో మీరు డ్యూ డెలిజెన్సీ చేయడం వల్ల ఏంటి అని అంటే, యునో you will be at least saving yourself.
Right.
I'll give you a few examples where మా ఆఫీస్ కి కన్సల్టేషన్స్ కి వచ్చారు కొంతమంది పీపుల్. They were having real good jobs in good multinational companies in India, like for example, I mean, TCS, Wipro Nucci. And these guys have, I mean, I would say 8+ years of experience. And then some employer filed the H1Bs, and then I mean, they came into the country, and
Mhm.
they come to my office and they say that we don't have a project. I mean, we just came here, we are trying to, my employer is trying to place us for the projects, and then he's not paying. What are our rights? What can we do? I really felt bad because while families nante, they are the breadwinners for the family. And then పాపం వాళ్ళకి మంచి జాబ్స్ ఒక మంచి పే స్కేల్ ఉండి ఒక కొన్ని ఇయర్స్ ఆఫ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ లో మంచిగా సెటిల్ అయిన జాబ్స్ ని వదిలేసి దే fall for these false promises. They came here, they are not able to go back, and then they are not able to stay here. I mean, it's really painful for them.
Right.
At certain age, like when you are young, of course you can afford doing all those things. You
Right.
have a family, you have wife, you have kids who are going to school. I mean, you had to pay bills. So keeping all those things aside, and then they are coming to my office, some grown men crying. You cannot see all those things. So
Right.
definitely, when there is an opportunity that is offered to you, ప్లీజ్ డూ యువర్ డ్యూ డెలిజెన్సీ. అసలు నిజంగానే ఈ ఏరియాలో ఆఫర్స్ ఉన్నాయా లేదా, దే ఆర్ ప్లేసింగ్ మీ అట్ దిస్ ఎండ్ క్లయింట్, నిజంగా ఆపర్చునిటీ ఉందా లేదా. సో ఆల్ దోస్ థింగ్స్ యూ డెఫినెట్లీ హ్యావ్ టు డూ యువర్ హోంవర్క్. Otherwise, I mean, you'll end up in scenarios like that.
True. So coming to the 2025 quick roundup on the policies USCIS has taken. Can you walk us through the most impactful USCIS updates and policy changes we saw in 2025 that
Mm,
may not fully understand?
Yeah, I mean, see, I do practice, business immigration, but again, when it comes to immigration, a lot of things we saw, especially how the asylum works, that kind of is at stake with this administration. And
Uh-huh.
then temporary protected status అనేది కొన్ని countries కి ఇచ్చారు. అది క్యాన్సిల్ చేయడం జరిగింది.
Mhm.
I would say, yes, this H1B weightage lottery program and this 100K program, and we saw in between the visa cancellations for the students, and then anybody has an arrest or the DUIs and all these things, speeding tickets, and then of course that was challenged, and then again SEBIS అనేది మళ్ళీ restore చేశారు వాళ్ళకి. But
Right.
still there is a problem, their visas are got cancelled. If they leave the United States again, they had to appear at the consulate, and then coming back to recently, the National Guard presence in the DC, one of the person was shot by
Right.
Afghan national.
True.
So again, they stopped everything from that country, especially when you talk about the asylum or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Even those who are scheduled for naturalization ceremonies, like, citizenship
True.
and 485 green card interviews, we could have cancel II. So, when they are appearing at the courts దగ్గర నుంచి వాళ్ళని తీసుకెళ్ళిపోయి డిటెన్షన్ సెంటర్స్ లో పెట్టడము, ఈవెన్ అటార్నీస్ ఉన్నా కూడాను. అండ్ దెన్ 485 అడ్జుడికేషన్ ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ లో కూడా కొంతమందిని తీసుకెళ్లడం జరిగింది ఓవరాల్ త్రూ అవుట్ ద యునైటెడ్ స్టేట్స్. So yes, this administration definitely has target for the some of the things that are not favoring the country.
Right.
So, I think, they are kind of having those kind of targets to finish. So, of course, illegal immigration is one of the thing.
They have the targets.
I mean, that's what we are hearing, I mean, to denaturalize, I mean, to send people outside the country, going back and digging into their profiles. So, I mean, they might not say out loud, but yes, they do have some kind of targets within the administration, I guess.
So in this scenario, if someone from maybe from any part of the world he's from, but especially for the Indians, if they are in this kind of situation, so what are the options they have to challenge this, or who can help them out?
It
Yeah.
depends on case by case basis. So
Right.
definitely they have to look into whether it is in family based immigration or asylum or employment based immigration. So they had to reach out to those specialized immigration attorneys, because some attorneys do specialize in business immigration, some attorneys in the family based immigration, some do litigation. So they had to reach out, do their research, and then reach out to those who are locally located to them.
Okay. So coming to the students and OPTs, they're really very concerned right now because of the new policies taken by USCIS. So international students are facing intense scrutiny in 2025, from OPT compliance to employer audits. So what mistakes did you see students make this year that put their status at risk? And what should students do differently moving into 2026?
I think they had to, similar to any other program, వాళ్ళు కూడా, due diligence cheyali. The more we are observing, I mean, ఇంతకు ముందు when they apply for the initial OPT or the STEM extension, RFEs ఎక్కువగా వచ్చాయి కాదు students కి, unless and until day one CPT program అయి ఉంటే.
Oh,
Now they are getting RFEs, like, what kind of training you are going through, what kind of job you are doing. Provide us the offer letters, provide us your pay stubs. Especially if it is a STEM program, what kind of wages you are getting paid. And on top of that, they are also asking, hey, provide us your past 6 months of bank statements. They want to see whether there are any transactions that these students are working illegally outside
true.
their regular job hours, or that is what they are doing. Sometimes going up to, since you entered into the country, how did you pay your fees, show us the evidence, whether initially when you are coming on F1, you are saying, okay, your father, somebody guardian promising that, the fee will be taken care, how that is paid, whether inside the country ఉన్నప్పుడు pay చేశారా. So you have to, it's always in the best interest of the student.
వాళ్ళు చెక్ చేస్తున్నారా ఇప్పుడు?
Yeah, of course, how they paid on it. Because let's say if I'm a student, I'm letting them know that, hey, my parents are going to pay for my fees. And once I'm inside the country, I'm paying through my credit card or something. They want to see how am I eligible for that. So it's in the best interest of, the whole program or your career here. Show them the trail, I mean, my parents అఫిడవిట్ ఆఫ్ సపోర్ట్ ఇచ్చి వాళ్ళు పే చేస్తారు అని అంటే ఎవ్రీ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ లైక్ యువర్ ఫాదర్ ఆర్ మదర్ transacting through your bank, depositing that kind of money into your bank, into the US account, then you are paying the fees. That would be the best case scenario. And if you are paying the fees with your own money here, then definitely it raises a red flag stating that money ఎలా వచ్చింది మీకు, whether you are working and unauthorized, off campus or on campus, authorization ఉంటేనే work చేయాలి. So there are a lot of things that we are seeing on these lines. Employer ఎవరు, మీ ఆఫర్ లెటర్స్ చూపియండి, పే స్టబ్స్ చూపియండి, ప్రీవియస్ ఇయర్స్ W2s ఇవ్వండి మాకు. So it's increasingly becoming challenging even for the RFEs, especially for the students, those who want to do STEM extensions as well. And then the part of the training program, the 983 form, how it was signed, what kind of training program you went through, who paid for that, all these things does matter.
ఓకే. సో కమింగ్ టు ద స్టూడెంట్స్ అగైన్. సో వాళ్ళకి ఒకవేళ సిచ్యువేషన్ ఇండియా ట్రావెల్ చేయాల్సొస్తే ఈజ్ ఇట్ రికమెండబుల్ ఫర్ దెమ్ టు ట్రావెల్ ఇఫ్ దే ఆర్ ఆన్ స్టెమ్ ఓపీటీ ఆర్ ఫస్ట్ ఇనిషియల్ ఓపీటీ?
Depends on case to case, I would say. If they have the real employment, that they are doing, they have, a proper job offer, they are doing here, performing those kind of, activities, the job duties. And as long as you have that offer, you're working, you're getting paid, should be okay. Just to travel short term, not for the long term. Just short term, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, up to 30 days should be fine. But if you are not having that kind of, employment opportunity here, it's risky to travel because you cannot show that you have a readily available employment here. Then your chances might not be that great you re-entering into the country.
ఫర్ ద ఇనిషియల్ ఓపీటీ యాస్ వెల్?
Anything, initial OPT or the STEM OPT. So, anything, you having a job offer, you performing that, you getting paid is more important. As long as you show that, yes, I finished my master's, now I'm, on this particular job, from maybe a year or 2 years, 2.5 years, this is my every year routine that during the Christmas time frame, I use my vacation, go to my home country for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks, and then, coming back, you show that you have the employment, and employment confirmation letter is also a very important thing. Employer stating that, yes, they do have a job, they are performing from so and so day to, till today, and then they are performing this job duties, e-title law, they are getting paid this much per annum. And then we are looking forward for them again coming back and then, do, because they are temporarily going for a short term. A confirmation letter could be very important for them to travel. I would say it is risky, but again, depends on case to case. Let's say, for example, if you are in the STEM OPT extension, almost you are working with this employer for 2 years or, year and a half, you have everything to show, and then, your employer is okay, you traveling temporarily 2 weeks, 3 weeks outside the country, that should be perfectly fine because you do have the job opportunity as per the OPT. You are complying with the rules, you are getting paid, and then, of course, you are showing all those evidences at the port of entry if anything was asked for.
Right. Perfect. So students who are on OPT, please try to refrain yourself to travel internationally. Unnecessarily falling into the situations where your visa get trouble or US life get trouble. Don't go for abroad. So coming to the new policies, వీళ్ళకి స్పెషల్గా ఓపీటీస్ కష్టపడి చదవడం జరుగుతుంది, అండ్ దెన్ ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ ద డే దే షుడ్ గెట్ అన్ H1B. for coming to the next year. So, what are the policies? The new policies have come up in the next year. కొత్త కొత్తగా ఏమొస్తున్నాయి? వీళ్ళకి ఆప్షన్స్ ఏమున్నాయి? ఓన్లీ H1B ఉందా? O1A వీసా అని కొత్తగా వింటున్నాం. అదెళ్ళొచ్చా? ఎళ్తే దాని కేటగరీస్ ఏంటి? సో, ఇవి కొంచెం ఎక్స్‌ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తారా ఇప్పుడు మన వ్యూవర్స్‌కి?
Yeah, I mean, they do have opportunities. Most of the students ఏంటి అంటే గ్రాడ్యుయేట్ అవ్వగానే దే గో ఫర్ ద H1B బికాస్ ఈ ఓపీటీలో, స్టెమ్ ఓపీటీలో వాళ్ళు ఆల్రెడీ వర్క్ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు ఒక ఎంప్లాయర్‌తో. The
హ్మ్.
employers are willing to sponsor. So once
రైట్.
the EAD time frame, the OPT time frame is done, they will sponsor, and if it gets picked up, yes, they will be on the H1B.
రైట్.
And then if the H1B pick up అవ్వకపోతే, they can further go for the PhD studies. Definitely they have to keep in mind, like, they should not go on the same level of degree. Like, let's say, if a person came here, had a computer science degree,
హుహు.
used up all OPT and STEM OPT, and then their H1B did not get picked up, don't do another master's in information technology. Maybe do an MBA, or go for a PhD program. So that's what we would recommend. And some people are qualified for O1 as well, but again, when you talk about O1, it's extraordinary ability.
రైట్.
You need to definitely have that kind of extraordinary ability to meet the requirements. So
హుహు.
అవి మీట్ అయినప్పుడు మాత్రమే it's a pretty high standard for the extraordinary ability.
రైట్.
Whether it is your national or international recognition ఉండాలి మీ work లో. So not everybody qualifies for that. So yes, definitely, I mean, we do have some of the high skilled people, those who fall into that category. Yes, if they qualify, yes, definitely they can go for the O1. Some people are trying to get hired by multinational companies, go outside the country, outside the United States, and then work there and come back on else. So if they meet the requirements, so those are the things that they can.
యాహ్! అండ్ ఆల్సో ఈ మధ్య కొత్తగా వస్తున్న జెన్‌జీ దే ఆర్ కమింగ్ అప్ విత్ ఇన్నోవేటివ్ ఐడియాస్. ఓవెన్ వీసా ఎట్లాగో దాన్ని ట్రై చేస్తా ఉన్నారు వాళ్ళు. జెన్‌జీ స్పెషల్‌గా బిజినెస్ మీద ఐ మీన్ బికమింగ్ అన్ ఎంటర్‌ప్రెన్యూర్ ఆర్ స్టార్టప్ ఫౌండర్స్ ఇవి చేస్తా ఉన్నారు. మన ఇండియన్ కమ్యూనిటీ నుంచి వచ్చే వాళ్ళు కూడా చేస్తున్నారు. సో, ఆర్ దే లీగల్లీ అలౌడ్ టు డూ ద బిజినెస్ ఇన్ యూఎస్? బీయింగ్ ఆన్ STEM OPT or OPT, and of course H1Bs also. Are they really eligible to do a business?
See, on OPT, STEM OPT, yes, of course, you can establish. But again, I mean, it's a questioning fact that, when you are trying to work that 40 hours a week on your, OPT in the area of education that you got, how do you have that kind of time, I mean, to, operate the business? Like, let's say, if the operation of the business involves your day-to-day activities, how are you doing it?
Right.
Keeping it aside. Maybe, you are hiring a person, are you paying, or are you partnering with a green card holder or a citizen? There are ways to do it, but yes, I mean, do it legally, and then, I mean, partner with somebody else. And then people on H1B program also, they kind of sometimes they partner with somebody and then do a passive investment kind of, and then do that, but you cannot sponsor yourself for that company, so keep that in mind.
Got it. So the new updates are coming to the coming year H1B filing. So what are the, can you please give me in brief to our viewers, what are the challenges they are going to face in the future and how the process is going to be, the new H1B filing process?
Yeah, especially the coming up year, for this year 2026, the lottery that is going to held in March timeframe.
Right.
Already మనకు తెలుసు wage based, higher wage ఉన్న వాళ్ళకి ఎక్కువగా the chances are more అని. Like, let's say, if you are having a level 4 wage, then you have 4 chances. If it is level 3, 2 and 1, accordingly. So those kind of chances. And then this particular rule is going to be effective from February 27th. And they are talking about you have to, how your job title, how much you are getting paid, and then you have to put up the application according to that, and then do on those wage levels. But there are a lot of things that are not addressed in this one. Let's say, for example, we are in Virginia. So Virginia level 4 wage, which allows you to have 4 chances, maybe, will be much higher, like around 150K. Maybe if you are in the interiors, like, if you are in the, not, let's talk about Virginia, but if you are in a metro city, the wages are going to be much more higher than if you are in the rural area of the
ఫర్
state.
ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనం హ్యూస్టన్ తీసుకుందాము. హ్యూస్టన్ హారిస్ కౌంటీ తీసుకుందాం. హారిస్ కౌంటీ సమ్‌వేర్ అరౌండ్ లెవెల్ 2 వచ్చేసి 90K అట్లా ఉండింది. 92 ఆర్ 93 బేస్డ్ ఆన్ దిస్ వన్. ఆర్ 3 మన లెవెల్ 3కెళ్ళేసరికి 110 అట్లా ఉండింది. సో, ఇప్పుడు 110K ఆర్ 120K ఏసుకుందాం ఎగ్జాంపుల్‌కి. సో, 120K ఉంటే ఎన్ని ఛాన్సెస్ ఉంటాయి ఇప్పుడు H1B ఏయడానికి?
ఏ వేజ్ లెవెల్ ఉంటాయి? ఇప్పుడు ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఇస్ లెవెల్ 3 ఉంటే 3 ఛాన్సెస్, లెవెల్ 4 ఉంటే 4 ఛాన్సెస్
సో,
ఆ పర్టిక్యులర్ ఏరియాలో. అదే ఐఎమ్ ట్రైయింగ్ టు ఎక్స్‌ప్లెయిన్ దట్. ఇఫ్ ఇప్పుడు మీరన్నట్టు హ్యూస్టన్‌లో లెవెల్ 3కి 120కి అనుకుందాం, ఒక ప్రోగ్రామర్ అనలిస్ట్‌కో, డెవలపర్‌కో.
హుహు.
అండ్ దెన్ ఇంకా ఇంటీరియర్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది టెక్సాస్ స్టేట్, ఫర్ లెవెల్ 3, it's only 70K. So how do you match 120K and 70K? So, there is a discrepancy there.
సో
People might think that if it is a remote job, yeah, they can sit remotely at any rural location, and then, they can get paid. So in new rules, inka koncham clarification ravali how it is. But based on what they published, they tried to do this in Trump first term lo kuda, but they
ఆహా!
were not successful. Again, second term lo, appudu court rule out chesindi enti ante, you did not go through the whole process of, publishing adanta. Ippudu they said, yes, 90 days memu publish chesamu comments adanta. But comments ni enta consider chesaru anedi kuda oka scenario. So, of course, they don't have to adopt it, but again, definitely consider it a rule making process lo. And how, let's say, for example, ante dantlo manki chesina rule lo kuda, if there is a level 4 wage ki H1B pick ayindi, file chesaru, and soon after that, if you got a better offer, and then maybe that better offer is for level 3 wage, takku wage, kani you have flexibility, somehow you want to take that offer. The rule is not really talking about transfer చేసుకుంటే another employer. Let's say October 1st of 2026 నుంచి H1Bs, they are valid.
రైట్.
So November lo, December lo, if they find a good opportunity, good opportunity doesn't always means higher pay. Maybe, flexibilities, benefits that the employer offers. So
కరెక్ట్.
based on that, if they are planning to move, transfer, whether they have to still be on the same wage level, the rule doesn't talk about that.
రైట్.
And then, of course, the rule also talks about, let's say, only H1B, maximizing the chances కోసం మీరు level 4 పెట్టి immediate గా ఒక 2 months తర్వాత amend చేస్తే, yes,
రైట్.
definite గా that will get, attention of the DHS. They might even, revoke your whole petition. So, if that is the case, don't do that. Do it only for, the real offer. So there
ఓకే.
are a lot of things how it unfolds. Maybe if this really stays that long, I mean, definitely a lot of people are attorneys are anticipating that there will be a lawsuit on this one. So we just have to wait and see. But as we speak, the rule as is, that is the one, the higher wage levels. And also one thing I would like to point out, అవుట్‌సైడ్ ద కంట్రీ నుంచి వచ్చే వాళ్ళకి 100K ఉన్నప్పుడు ఎక్కువగా, అంటే ఇన్‌సైడ్ ద యునైటెడ్ స్టేట్స్ మాస్టర్స్ స్టూడెంట్స్ చాలా మంది ఉన్నారు కాబట్టి, వాళ్ళకి ఎక్కువగా లాటరీలో పిక్ అయ్యే ఛాన్సెస్ ఉంటాయి. సో, దే ఆర్ బెటర్ ఆఫ్. సో, బికాస్ దే ఆర్ ఇన్‌సైడ్ ద కంట్రీ, దే కెన్ డూ ద చేంజ్ ఆఫ్ స్టేటస్. 100K ఈస్ నాట్ అప్లికబుల్ ఫర్ దెమ్. That is one good news for the master students, those who are currently inside the United States.
దట్స్ ఎ గుడ్.
But again, higher wage levels, so we just have to see how it goes.
పర్ఫెక్ట్. సో, ఇప్పటికి గూడా మనకి H1B కమింగ్ అప్ ఇయర్‌కి ప్రాసెస్ క్లియర్‌గా లేదు.
I mean, for now, no lawsuit was filed. So it is clear February 27th నుంచి it's going to be effective. And then 2027 lottery, a fiscal year off, which is 26 March లో మనకి లాటరీ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి దానికి వేజ్ బేస్డ్ మీద ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ఛాలెంజ్డ్ ఇన్ ద కోర్ట్ ఇట్ రిమైన్స్ యాజ్ ఈస్.
సో ఇప్పుడు మనము లాస్ట్ పాత ప్రాసెస్ లో మార్చ్ ఫస్ట్ వీక్ లో యూస్ టు డూ ద రిజిస్ట్రేషన్. సో ఇప్పుడు ఎలా ఉంటుంది ప్రాసెస్?
I mean, process still remains the same. So, in the March, you will be given, a 20-day time frame to register. Previous guy, people used to register sometimes on the same day or the last day. But
Right.
now I think given, weightage to the wage based, you had to have that certain kind of offer, how much is the wage going to be, don't rush, take time and then, don't do it in the last minute. So, take time and then, set a tone for that. Okay, we are giving you this offer. Here is the offer letter. Your wages, your salary is going to be this. We are going to put you in level 3, level 2 or level 4. This is going to be your job title. ఇదంతా ahead plan చేసుకోవాల్సి ఉంటుంది if the role still remains as is. So definitely, and I think the conversations should stay active between the employer and the employee and the attorney as well.
Yeah, so last time మనము పిక్ అయిన తర్వాత we used to submit the paperwork, right? So right now, first initial stage లోనే we have to declare everything.
See, రైట్ అంటే ఈ ప్రీవియస్ మనకి ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ లాటరీ అయిన తర్వాత దెర్ ఈస్ ఓన్లీ మినిమల్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ దట్ యూ సబ్మిట్ ఇన్ దేర్ ఫస్ట్ నేమ్ లాస్ట్ నేమ్ country of birth and especially the passport number, so that way very minimal information. I think now based on the wage levels, I guess definitely there will be a change in the form that they are trying to do. We don't know how it is right now. So based on that, you input all the information. If it gets picked up, then I mean submission still remains the same. You don't have to submit upfront, but at least in this scenario you are making that offer upfront and then wages known to the USCIS. So later evidential whatever you are submitting with the actual submissions, because you will be given full 90 days like April, May and June. So yeah, in that 90 days time frame you will still have the opportunity to go ahead and file the H1B.
రైట్. సో లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ లాటరీ పికింగ్ అనేది ఉంది. ఈసారి లాటరీ పికింగ్ అనేది ఉంటుందా, లేకపోతే సబ్మిట్ చేసిన ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి అసలు ఫస్ట్ దీనికంటే
No, lottery ఉంటుంది definite గా. But
Okay.
again, you might not see those many filings like in the previous years లో చూసినప్పుడు. One reason is wage based. The other reason is this 100K, because people in my companies are not willing to pay 100K and bring them from outside the United States because you have a lot of talent pool in. So, a good thing is, master students కి ఎక్కువగా maximize అవుతాయి chances, because there are some students who are, having real jobs waiting for past 3 years to get their H1B picked up. Maybe this year we can see lesser submissions and maximizing for the master students. So, but the whole procedure still remains the same. There will be a lottery and then there will be a submission after the lottery.
సో ఇప్పుడు కూడా కోటా సేమేనా, అంటే 80,000, 60,000 and then 20,000, 60,000?
Yes. That doesn't change because president doesn't have the authority to change the numbers. Only Congress does have. So it still remains the same. The number remains the same.
20,000 for the master students and 60,000 for the general other countries.
That's correct.
Okay, perfect.
65 and then, the 20.
Right. So
Total 85.
the new this process, employers are going to have a lot of challenges.
I would say yes, even attorneys will have, employers will have, even the employees will have that kind of stress. So definitely to ease all those things, have an upfront conversation with your employer and then, at least make sure that what are the required documents and things like that ahead of time before the registration begins. But however, as this rule is going to be effective from February 27th, we'll see more in the coming days, the new forms maybe, where they should have some kind of information for the wage input. So, we'll see more on that.
Yeah, perfect. So employers sponsoring foreign talent also faced growing compliance challenges this year. And what were the biggest mistakes employers made in 2025? And how can they avoid them in 2026?
The common ones are like, not timely amending the H1Bs. And then they, as a result, they could see the FDNS officer going to the previous location and then learning through the process that the employee is no longer there, and then amendment was either filed late or never filed, and then getting a notice of intent to revoke, and notice of intent to deny if something is filed later on in the amendment process, these things. So definitely, I mean, employers knows the rule that, I mean, once you file the amendment, once you have the receipt, then, the employee is going to start work there. So,
Mhm.
negotiate with the client, that kind of time, to have the amendment properly filed on time. So that definitely, and then more increased FDNS site visitations are happening when
Okay.
compared to previous years, and these might even increase more in coming years. So going to their locations, trying to find out from the client. And the most growing number of FDNS site visitations, one point I could see is they're asking, what are the requirements for this position, whether, because the wage levels are not really matching. Let's say if the H1B is filed with level 2, they are
Mhm.
going to the client and asking, hey, is this the level 2 position, or what are the general requirements? The client says that, hey, no, this requires a bachelor's degree and, 5+ years or 7+ years, which usually should be, a level 4 wages. And then in this certain scenarios, it's only level 2. So that brings down to, properly filing with those wage levels to avoid, notice of intent to revoke. Because if the person is here inside the country for a longer time frame, the notice of intent to deny, or eventually if it is denied or revoked, force them out of the country, where they again will be subjected to this 100K. So they had to plan accordingly. I mean, employer, attorney, and the employee together, working on the case,
Mhm.
having, the transparency, and then, making sure they are aligning the paperwork according to the requirements.
Perfect. So, which visa categories are likely to see more scrutiny in 2026?
I would say, the work visa categories, especially H1Bs, maybe, eventually into, Ls, because L1s we already see, a lot of scrutiny, in the past 10 years ki మనం కంపేర్ చేసుకుంటే it's not the same, going through, the intense scrutiny. So, I mean, all the work visas might face, a certain kind of, intense scrutiny, I would say.
All the work visas. Guys, be careful. So, do you expect more compliance driven enforcement next year in 2026?
Possibility, yes. More FDNS site visitations, might happen, and then, looking into whether that proper compliance is there or not. Those are the things.
Okay. So, what should people do now to future proof their immigration status?
The one advice I would always give, I mean, make sure, do your homework before accepting an offer. Make sure that is a real offer. Most of the students, those who are already working in OPT and STEM OPT, they already have their jobs. I don't think it's difficult for them. And now this 100K being in place, I think, chances of people coming from outside the United States are highly, unlikely, or I would say less. So, do your homework, make sure that you are, accepting those kind of, real offers, and then, comply. Always reach out to your employer if you know anything, and don't assume things. And maybe through your employer's help, reach out to your company attorney, talk to them. If you have to have some clarifications, reach out to them and then clarify.
Perfect. So, let's have round robin questions. Rapid fire. It's a myth busting. Most of the people will assume that these are the myths, but yeah, let's crack it. Uh, H1B stamping delays automatically mean denial, true or false?
False.
False. Premium processing guarantees approval, true or false?
False.
Traveling in 2026 will be riskier than before, true or false?
True, I would say, to some extent.
USCIS policies change faster than most immigrants realize, true or false?
I would say, 50-50 because, say, immigration rules as passed by legislation is different than the executive orders. I would say yes, banning people from different countries to enter into the United States. Yeah, it's 50-50.
And USCIS is denying more cases just to meet quotas, true or false?
False.
Okay. Day one CPT is automatically illegal, true or false?
False.
Which is false?
Yeah, it's not illegal. It's still legal.
Day one CPT.
Yeah, people are still, going for, different master's degree programs and then going for, day one CPT and still working. It's still there. So,
Okay. And if H1B stamping is delayed and is the job is at risk, true or false?
of yes.
Perfect. This sounds good. And advice from an attorney, immigration attorney, who was an immigrant to the next upcoming immigrants. Many immigrants feel exhausted and anxious after everything that happened in 2025. So, as an attorney and an immigrant, what message do you want to leave our audience with as they enter in 2026?
Definitely be hopeful. So, it's not, they're not going to scrap all the programs. Like, people say, okay, H1B program is not going to be there. No, that's not true. It's created by legislation and then in the Congress, it still will be there. So all these cosmetic procedures might be done on the program, but still it's going to be alive. Keep your hopes up, but at the same time, don't fall for the shortcuts. Do your homework, work hard. Definitely, the standards are high, in this administration. I would say when I say standards are high, you know, the way they are coming at the, programs, trying to slow down the whole process, maybe trying to take away all the benefits that you are enjoying. So, be mindful of those, try to be compliant, whatever the program that you are on, whether it is F or H or any other. So, um, and complying to the US immigration laws is the utmost important thing because nothing is above the law. Any kind of violations that you make being a student or an employer, definitely you will see, those kind of repercussions to it. So, follow the rules, have during your OPT, STEM OPT, during your H1B programs, have that compliance to the US immigration rules.
Perfect. Thank you, Janita Garu. Thanks for your time. So, thank you for helping us close at out 2025 with clarity and truth. Immigration is not just policy, it's people, families, and futures. If this episode helped you, share it, subscribe, and comment with your visa type. Your question might shape the next episode. Thank you, Janita Garu, for your time. Thank you for giving all your inputs. And any message to the Sanjam Talks?
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. as long as our motto is always helping the community, being in the immigration law, practicing as an attorney for 17 plus years, definitely anything to help the community. Thank
Oh,
you, Sanjam Talks, for having me.
yeah. Thanks for your time, ma'am.